Hello, I'm Stuart Bloor. Welcome to episode 11. If you like these videos, why not share them on your own social media platform, Twitter, Facebook, etc. If you do, that would be really appreciated. Anyway, this time round, I'm targeting a species that doesn't get fished for much these days, the humble roach. When I was a kid, the roach was most anglers' favourite fish. Well, today I think carp has probably taken that honour, hasn't it? But I still love targeting the old red fins, and that's what I'm going to do this time round. I'm back on my secret brook that I fished in last week's episode. I've just arrived, thrown out a few maggots, then I'm going to put my hook bait in. In this short section that I have been fishing, I've got 3 swims that have got deeper water in front of me. In fact, some of them are so deep, relatively speaking, that you can't see the bottom. That's always an encouragement. And that's where the fish, of course, will be holed up. For most of this section, it's about 100 metres in length. It's just shallow right the way across. You can see the bottom. No fish there at all. So, obvious watercraft, isn't it? You go to where the fish are. You could set up in one of those, oh, and I've got one, first cast. You could set up in one of those shallow sections and fish there all day long. It's a little roach. Fish there all day long, catch nothing. Go to one of the deeper bits like I have this morning, and first cast, it's a lively little roach, and I'm going to show it to the camera right now. There you go. Nothing special in terms of size, but if you saw last week's video, I'll tell you something very exciting indeed. A recast, and immediately the tip is going, and I'm striking into nothing. They may not be used to a hook, but they're still roach. They still have that natural sensitivity, that natural cautiousness. We call it instinct, don't we? You don't just cast out and automatically catch. Even if those fish have never been caught before, you still have to put some time in, put some thought in, and of course, strike at the right time. It's a nice roach. Second one of the session, and from the size of the venue, well, pretty decent indeed. I've had a number of roach. I haven't shown them all to the camera. Much of the same really, the same sort of size, same sort of approach that I've been having, just dropping the bait just in front of me, a little deeper section, as I've said, on a bend. That's what you look for, isn't it? But I'm now getting a little tap that I'm not sure is a roach actually. Oh, hang on, it might be. Because I've also caught bullhead, perch, and gudgeon from here as well. Just one of those species. If you saw last week's video, you'll know all that. Predominantly, it's a roach brook. Not much of a hardship though, is it? Catching roach from a tiny little venue like this. Quite excited actually. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to lift into this fish now, and I have got one on, and it is a roach. Well, that didn't strike, or so that didn't take as if it was a roach, but it's actually a nice fish. And while I've still got the camcorder switched on, I'm going to show you that right now. Now, it's lively. Very lively indeed. Now for the size of this little brook that I'm on, that's actually quite a very nice roach. I just hooked into something and I thought immediately, this is a small chub, no doubt whatsoever about that. Anyway, it fought. I needed the landing net for sure on this one, and look what I've just caught. This is absolutely incredible when you consider that this is such a tiny waterway, and yet this fish has grown from nothing to this size. Well, I'll tell you something, that is an absolutely amazing fish. I'd be happy if I caught this anywhere, never mind from a tiny, tiny little brook like this. Isn't that incredible? That fish has now gone back. I've allowed the swim to settle a little, put a few more maggots in. Whether it'll kill it off, I don't know. There's a good chance it'll fish in a very, very tight spot. But I'll tell you one thing, if I don't catch anything else today, or for the rest of this video for that matter, that was an amazing roach. I've had fish bigger than that, of course. I've had twos. That wasn't a 2-pounder, but it was over a pound. And again, you know, going on about the venue, taking that into consideration, that is probably the best roach I've ever caught. No, first cast after the roach, and they're still feeding. They're still out there. Just a normal sized one this time. I'll tell you something though, these fish, they're not wised up yet. But if I come down here a few times, and of course they'll soon catch on, won't they? That those two little red maggots are a little bit suspicious. But I tell you what, in the meantime, I'm actually enjoying this very, very much. I've moved downstream now. I'm about to cast out. I caught 9 roach from that spot that I was in earlier, and then it went dead. That's natural, that's obvious. That will happen, of course. And then it's time to move on and exploit the roach a little bit further downstream. I had to wait 5 minutes for the first bite, and there it is. Fish number 10 of the session so far. I'm coming to the end of this session. I've certainly enjoyed it. Just a couple of hours or so. By the very nature of the size of this brook and the limited fishing spots that are here, then of course all my visits will be very short indeed. But this particular time round, short but sweet as well. Anyway, the great unknown indeed. You never know, do you, what's out there, especially in these wild natural venues that perhaps aren't fished or get very limited angling attention. Who knows, there may be something on your doorstep, a little brook, a little pond. Who knows? Why not give it a go, just like I've done on this particular place? You may be in for a nice, pleasant surprise of your own. Anyway, back home for me. I've got work to do, but of course I'll be looking forward to my next session. I played football last night and we came back from 2-0 down to get a very creditable 2-all draw. But I got man of the match, aged 53 years, 10 months and 1 day. And I'm not playing in a veterans league or anything like that. I'm playing against people who are younger than my 2 daughters. And one of the things that I'm very much aware of is that our mind can be a massive barrier. It might be age, it might be some other limitation that we impose upon ourselves purely and simply because that's what we say in our own mind. Now, of course, there are common sense values that you have to take into consideration. There are limits that we all have, but sometimes we hold ourselves back from fulfilling the full potential for our lives because we put those barriers up in our mind. For example, I'm still playing football into my 50s, enjoying it and doing quite well into the bargain also. But I meet people who are sometimes only in the 30s, maybe the late 30s, and they say, oh, football, I'm too old for that. Well, you're not too old. If you have a physical disability or something has happened, then of course you might not be able to play any longer. But if it's purely and simply down to age, then that can become a barrier that we put in our mind that prevents us from doing other things that we can also enjoy in life. And that's the thing, isn't it? Don't erect those walls in our mind. Think outside the box, but more importantly, live outside of it as well. Well, I'm saying farewell to an old friend right now. This will be my last fishing trip with my Nissan Almera. From tomorrow, there's a new kid on the block. I'll tell you what though, I'll be sad to see this one go, so I'm going to film it for the very last time. I got my new car, well I went to the garage a couple of days ago with a tape measure, got the boot down, got the boot up, got the back seats down, and there were two important measurements: 100 centimetres by 90 for my bed chair and 200 centimetres for my rod bag, and I'm happy to say that it ticked both boxes comfortably. So that's the new arrival coming soon, but for now, farewell Nissan Almera. It's been great having a relationship with you for the last few years. I never knew your name, but you've served me well. I'm fishing a lake for a couple of hours, up to dark and into it as well. We're in late dusk at the moment. The chosen peg that I had in mind, that's not possible. There's a couple of carpers on here and they've got rods sprayed out like a fan. You know what some of these folks are like. Anyway, I've decided to come further around the pool to a spot where I must confess hasn't been that productive for me in the past for roach, but it's only a short session anyway, and the bait's in the water, so I've got a chance. Well, I may have blanked on the big lake, but I'll tell you what, I'm back on the brook and I'm looking forward to some action this afternoon. First cast, I missed the bite. Second one, I nailed it. There you go. There's a good head of fish in here. Obviously they're all shoaled up in certain spots. But one thing I have noticed with the roach is they come in different year classes. And there's one of them, just a small one. But it's great that the fish are spawning. This is my sixth roach. Oh, very lively. Very lively indeed. Sixth roach of the outing so far. Probably the biggest, so none of those big girls have put in an appearance as of yet. I managed to catch it anyway. It hasn't landed on the ground. As I say, very, very lively. It wants to go back, and that's exactly where it's going right now. This is number 8 and very lively. This is number 8 and definitely the biggest so far. Not that I believe in luck, but fish number 13, and this is the biggest so far of the session. We're now into dusk, and I'm sure that fish of this calibre and bigger will certainly come on the feed as we approach darkness. Well, my theory was correct. Not that this is a monster, but it's definitely the biggest so far of the session. I'll tell you what though, I'm absolutely amazed at the quality of these fish from such a tiny little venue. I know I've said that so many times, but it's absolutely true. We're well into dusk now. The camcorder picks up light, which makes it appear brighter than it actually is out here, which is great. I'm not complaining. Fish number 20, and I've got continual plucks and taps and of course fish out there, and that's why I've stayed in the same swim this afternoon. And number 22 bites the dust. We haven't had much of a winter this time round where I live, certainly as far as the snow's concerned. It's been cold from time to time, but we do have particular winters where it snows quite heavily. And the photos that you can see on the screen, 28th of December in the year 2000, so after Christmas, before the new year, I was getting an overnighter in and it snowed very heavily indeed. My bivvy looked like an igloo. In fact, it was so cold that the lake froze overnight. I didn't catch anything, but I'll tell you something, look back at times like that and they certainly bring back memories, don't they? This will be my final visit to the little brook. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. In fact, as the river season is drawing to a close anyway, it will be my last outing on flowing water for at least 3 months. The only disappointment I've got with this particular venue, the only negative thing that I could say about it at this moment in time, is the fact that I've discovered it so late in the year. But one thing's for sure, I'll definitely be back in the future. Although it's fairly overgrown at the moment, a lot of the vegetation is dead. Still quite a job to get to some of the swims. I haven't got a clue what it'll be like at the height of summer. I can imagine it will be like a jungle. But that's the nature of this type of venue, isn't it? But one thing's for sure, absolutely 100% certain, as long as I'm still alive on this planet and I'm able-bodied, I'll definitely be back here. But for now, I'm looking forward to ending the video, ending my river season, ending my visits to this particular venue on a high. The first fish of the session, a small roach. I won't show them all, of course. They are pretty much the same size. If I do catch something maybe a little bit more special, or from time to time, I might put it in front of the camera. But it's just great fun, and that's what angling is all about. And this one, as with all the others, very lively. It wants to go back, and that's where it is going right now. My rig is very simple, as indeed it is most of the sessions that I do, regardless of the species or the venue. I always work on the basis that you start off simple, and then if you need to, you can begin to tinker and develop and evolve your rig. But first of all, keep it nice and simple, and that usually does the trick for 90% of the times. It's only when you may be carp fishing and there's a specific swim that you're in that you start to tinker with your bait. Maybe the fish aren't numerous, maybe they have been caught a few times, but for something like this little brook, very, very simple indeed. I'm fishing with a 1/3 of an ounce lead. As you can see, that's a free running lead, and it's flat, so it is a little bit pacey, so that will hold the bottom quite comfortably. Then I've got a swivel in there in that bead system, as you can see, top and bottom rubbers there, so they cover the swivel. I've got a hook length which, fishing for roach, is quite long. It's about 10 inches long, and I've got a size, see there, size 16. I'm fishing 2 maggots on that. Now the hook length, I'm fishing that because I want to keep a nice little bit of flow from the lead down to the bait. The fish haven't been caught before, they're certainly not wised up. No need to go too complicated. This is working for me perfectly, and that's what it's all about. This is the best fish so far. I moved a few meters downstream. I'm fishing at the head of a deeper section, and I fished a few meters down, as I say, and first cast out, this one confidently took the bait. Anyway, I'm going to go back, because I left all my gear here. I'm going to go back and see what else is down there. And what's in there indeed? Well, my second cast in, following the roach, I only went and landed this beautiful looking perch. What a fantastic fish from such a small, tiny, intimate venue. Full of surprises, and I'm enjoying every single one of them. Well, I've had a nice run of roach as I've switched downstream a few meters. Quite decent fish actually. So I've decided to bring the camcorder with me and maybe capture one for the camera. But I'll tell you what, it's great fun. I'm really enjoying this. Fantastic. It's quite difficult just to get a bait in the water at times. Overhanging branches quite low over the brook. Lots of vegetation along it as well. Most of it dead, of course, but it's still there. Getting lots of tangles and caught up on things. There's no maintenance team from a club going up and down stream this venue, cutting out pegs and keeping it nice and tidy and manicured. But I'll tell you what, I love the fact that it's wild, wonderful, and willing to give up some of its treasures. And talking of that, I've got a little tap right now, and I'm about to pull out a roach, and I'll show you this one to the camera. It's probably a little bit smaller, actually it is, than the ones that I've been catching so far from this new little spot that I've been giving a go. Great though, isn't it? That brings me on to another point as well, the subject of secrecy. You get folks who call people secret squirrels because they don't reveal where they fish. Well, in this day and age, especially with the internet, you have to be so careful. We've always had to be careful, but especially in the days of the internet. Imagine if I posted this location with the blog, posted it on the internet, I get what, 20,000 views a month across the board on my blog. Well, that's the videos alone, and then the blog itself, the written blog. Imagine if I posted when I was fishing. I'd never get a peg again, would I? And probably it would kill the place. So I don't think it's actually selfish to keep your locations to yourself. You have to take into account as well other anglers. If you publish stuff and it's not the right sort of place that you should be publishing, in other words, too much fishing will kill it, you have to consider other anglers as well. You have to take into account club rules or venue rules. Some don't allow publicity, and I'm in one or two clubs that are in that category, so that helps me to keep a tight lip anyway when people ask me where I'm fishing. And then of course there's your own angling. You can't underestimate that either. It's not selfish, as I've said, to keep your stuff to yourself. You found it, you did the legwork, you've put the time in, and you can keep the rewards for yourself. My angling blog, back to a personal point of view now, my angling blog is not about putting people in swims. It's actually about inspiring folks, and in this instance the inspiration is to go out in your local area, check out a small brook, find a small pond, get on somewhere that maybe hasn't seen an angler, or perhaps hasn't for some years. Give it a go, you never know what's in there. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll tell you what, I've loved it. I love fishing anyway, that goes without saying, doesn't it? But the freshness for me of targeting different species on different venues, using different methods and different baits, all of that certainly keeps my enthusiasm bubbling away. Anyway, I'll be back next Saturday with more tales from the water's edge. See you then.